This is episode 14 with Art Lewin. Hi, my name is Leon Gabrielian, and this is the Thriving Life Club, the podcast for those who want to thrive in every area of life. Thanks for joining me today. Welcome to the club. Let's begin. Welcome back to the club, champion. Today, our amazing guest is Art Lewin, a globally recognized tailor who for more than 29 years has been making suits for some of the most powerful and successful entrepreneurs and business people in the world. Clients ranging from the international business world to Hollywood red carpet superstars. Some of his loyal clients include royal family members Hugh Hefner, Sylvester Stallone, Johnny Carson, Maher, Elliott Gould, Sofia Milos, and Oscar De La Hoya. Art, thank you for joining us today.
Good to join you guys. Thank you.
Art, for our listener, who is Art Lewin in your own words?
The story is a little long, but I'll make it as brief as possible. I'm originally from Chile, and I came here in 1977, a long time ago. So my English is second language. My first language is Spanish. Before I got into clothing, by the time I was 22, I had 26 different jobs. I was trying to find myself. And then I found clothing by the time I was 22. And I've been in clothing and tailoring custom suits since. It's been 29 years, and I love every minute of it. And if you want to take myself and put into 5 words, I'm a learner, I'm passionate, I'm very purpose-driven, relentless, and I'm a clothier.
What was it that made you passionate about clothing people?
A long time ago, I've always enjoyed dressing up myself. I've enjoyed suits. So since I got into the business world early on, I was about 18, I was wearing suits already. And I really enjoyed dressing up in suits. And that's what kind of got me excited when I was recruited into the clothing business 4 or 5 years later. So that's kind of how my whole career got started.
How does the way we dress actually relate to the amount of success we can achieve? And does it really matter when one really wants to design a thriving life?
Yeah, it's, being well-dressed is so important in life if you really wanted to. I mean, this is all up to the individual, but if you want to really succeed in a Fortune 500 company, let's say, or if you're self-employed and let's say you're an attorney or anything, really, there's really 10 points about dressing really well. And do you mind, can we go through those 10 points?
Of course, we can.
Kind of what I teach.
Go ahead.
I teach. I'll go really quick through it. 10 important reasons of dressing for success. Number one is because science says so. There's science behind the term dress for success. It just proves that for business suits portrays a form of authority. Number two, first impressions count. We live in a judgmental world, so we are quick to make assumptions, and it categorizes an individual based on what we see. Number three, it promotes self-respect. When you're dressing well, you radiate an image of self-respect and self-worth and self-confidence. Number four, it gives you a boost of self-confidence. So when we feel good on the outside, we are most likely to feel good on the inside. Number five, it draws the right kind of attention. So dressing sharply is the first step to attracting and keeping wanted attention. Number six is a step to overall self-improvement. So putting an effort in what you wear and how you look will have a positive effect on your overall lifestyle. Number seven, it keeps you productive. When you're dressing to impress, you feel well, you look good, and you'll be motivated to getting things done. Number eight, it shows that you have attention to detail. So when you take your time in dressing yourself in the morning and putting some right combinations together, it shows potential clients, potential employers that you're very attentive to detail. So that's pretty important in business. Number nine, it gives you a competitive edge. So when you dress well, it shows that you're taking care of yourself, and now you're ready to take care of business and your customers. And number 10, it's fun. So you have to go with what you feel best in your environment. So don't be afraid of change. It's just mix it up and just keep it fun. So those are my 10 points on that.
Excellent. Let's talk about that, about being flexible and the change and feeling good in whatever you put on your body. I know
Right.
that you emphasize the importance of feeling good and then being flexible, going from a business meeting to evening out party. How do you do
Sure.
that?
For example, usually when I go out in networking events, it's usually on a Thursday. So on a Thursday, I'll wear, let's say, for example, I'll wear a business suit throughout the day, and then if I go right through from my work to an event, sometimes I could undo my tie. I'll take my tie off, and I'll wear a pocket square. I'll poof up the pocket square a little bit more, not be so formal for a networking event. So that's how I kind of change it up.
And what do you, when you go to those kind of events, business networking events, and also parties or social events, what
Sure.
are some of the things that you notice around?
Well, obviously, because I've been in the clothing business and tailoring business pretty much my entire life, adult life, the first thing I look for is for a well dressed gentleman, because that's what attracts my eye the most. And if I see right away that they're putting effort in the way they dress, most likely they put effort in everything else in their life. So most likely I'm going to network with somebody who's most likely a higher earner in the business. So those are the clients that I look for.
And what about women? Do you also tailor suits and
Yeah, yeah,
shirts
yeah.
for
Oh, yeah,
women?
for women too. Yeah, out of 100%, 24% of our clientele is women. So, and for women, we do suits and shirts and things for corporate wear. So yeah, for women too. So if they're dressing great and if they're in corporate, that's our target client as well.
When you
Go
go
ahead.
to those events and you notice if someone is dressed appropriately, if someone is missing a piece or missing something, what are some of the things that you notice?
Really starts from head to toe. Is your hair combed nicely? Do you have a nice cut? Are your shoes shiny? Do you take time to go to a shoe shiner? All these little tiny things. Do you get a manicure? All these little key things that I look for is when somebody puts effort into their dress code for success is what attracts me. For our business, and we're attracted to them as well.
Okay, so that's fair for someone who has disposable income, makes
Yep.
a decent amount of money and can afford to do those things, buy nice
Right.
shoes, have a nice haircut, manicure every week, a couple of times a month, and
Sure.
have custom tailored shirts, custom
Yep.
tailored suits. But what would you say to someone who says basically, I don't have enough
Yep.
money to dress myself?
Well, that's a great question, because a lot of people think that you have to spend thousands of dollars on suits, and that's not so. As long as you're putting an effort, and if you're buying a suit for, let's say, a few $100s, but at least you could buy the foam thing to shine your shoes yourself, and that costs $2, and everybody in business has $2 to buy a little foam thing that shines your shoes. You could buy a little buffer to buff your nails, and you could do that at home. I have that myself, and that's like 50 cents. A haircut, come on, you could go anywhere and get a haircut. But at least as long as you're looking the part is what we try to portray with our clients. Because it all comes down, if you look good, you feel good. And when you look good and you feel good, you radiate confidence.
Right.
And that's what
So
people are attracted to.
let's talk about buying suits, for example, specifically. What kind of budget should they have for
Okay,
their first suit, for example?
so for example, we categorize our clients in 3 different categories. I'll be blunt and I'll say it up front. There's the people who are spending suits 500 and under, from 500 to 1200, and then from 1500 and up. So that's what majority of the people fall in those categories. And then we have the 1%ers that are spending 3,000 and up. I'm sorry, there's 4 categories. It depends where you fall. You know where you could buy a suit from. If you're spending, which average person price spend $500, $700, You could go to Macy's, Bloomingdale's, Nordstrom's, and you could get a pretty nice suit for that. Then make sure, and it doesn't, a suit, whether it's 200 or 2,000, if it's not tailored right, it's not going to look right. So you can make a $200 suit look like a $1,000 suit if it's tailored right.
And when you say tailored right, are you talking about the length of the sleeve, the
Yep, the
upper
length
back,
of the sleeve, the
right?
length of the pants, to make sure there's no buckling on the shoulders or the back of the coat. Make sure it fits you. So I would take a few dollars and go to a local tailor and to get it tailored right, not by what the store tells you. Because when you buy a suit from the store, they're just going to tailor it as minimum as possible. And if you don't know, you don't know. But if you go to a tailor, he's going to tell you how it should look.
So you're suggesting if someone has a low budget of up to $500 or $700, even $300, they can go to a department store, get a suit, but it's important to take it to a tailor and have
to get it fitted.
Get fitted for their body, because people have different kind of bodies, slim bodies, bigger bodies, bodybuilders,
Everybody
different
stands
shapes.
different. You might have a low shoulder, you might have a high hip, you might have a longer leg or a longer arm. So everybody's different. That's why it's so important to get any kind of suit, even if it's a low budget suit, to a great tailor, and he'll spice it up for you, and he'll make it look great.
And what are some of the pitfalls or some of the things to avoid when you go to a tailor?
I think when you go to the store, let's start with the store first. I think when you go to the store, I think you should avoid the really low end suits. There's $300 for $300 or whatever it is. Those suits are glued together. They could look nice for the day, but they don't last at all. They fall apart really, really quick. And what to look for a tailor, make sure that the tailor's knowledgeable. Make sure that the tailor that you go to, he's dressed well himself. Make sure he's clean, nicely groomed, because a lot of tailors, they're not. So when people come to us in any of our locations are spotless. Our people are dressed to the nines. So that's really important to us. We're computerized when most tailors are not. So those are things that to look for.
Right. Anything else that comes to mind? Art, I want my listener to be armed with the tools that it took you 29 years and plus to find and perfect. If there are some tips or strategies that you have, you can arm them. That would be best.
I think if you look through GQ magazine or Esquire magazines, or if you have your an idol, a movie star idol that you like the way the suit fits, I would take the magazine or tear the page out and take it to your tailor and tell him, this is how I want my suit to fit. And that way he gets an idea. And if you bring pictures, it's even better. So pictures, magazines, a newspaper article of how you want your suit to fit. That's really important, because a tailor, most of the time, they're a lot older, and they're back in 20, 30 years ago, fitting suits still like they did 20, 30 years ago. So if they're not up to par, but if they see a picture on an article or a magazine, now you're showing them what you want. It's really, really important.
So we talked about the tailoring and making it fit your body. Let's talk about the material. What should we look for when considering a suit as far as it comes to material?
I think you should always, when it comes to material, you should always get a better material. And a better material wool costs a little bit more, but it's going to last you a lot longer. Not only that, if you buy wool will not get you hot. It sounds hot, but it's not. It's better than plastic, and by plastic I mean a polyester suit. Right? With a polyester suit, you'll get hot, you'll sweat. The sweat won't. It'll stay in you'll be wet and underneath the suit. When you wear wool, you'll sweat, but it breathes, so it lets it out. Same thing with shirts. Make sure you buy cotton shirts, because polyester is plastic and it keeps your sweat inside.
So materials, wool and cotton for shirts. Should it be 100% wool, 100% cotton?
It should be, yes.
Does it really matter what kind of wool it is? What kind of
No, it doesn't matter. As long as it's wool and as long as it's cotton for the shirt, because the shirt's the first thing that touches your skin. So it's going to feel better. and throughout the day, you're not going to sweat as much.
What do you think about non-iron shirts?
Oh, 9-iron shirts, those are poly cottons, or most of the time poly. I haven't worn one, and my clients don't wear them ever.
It's a blend of cotton and polyester?
Yeah, so, and those are your lower, pretty much your starting shirts. I mean, you could get a shirt for $10, it's
Exactly.
$20, but you'll be able to tell, if you're, let's say you're in sales and you're going after a big account and you're looking, that's the first thing that people do is just judge, and it could blow a sale.
Every person that you meet in business, would you say?
For us, yes. For us, and I'll give you a little example. We had a big client coming in yesterday to our Santa Monica location, and he flew in his private jet, and my salesman at that store, I guess he drank coffee that day, and he spilled on his shirt, right? And my client, my prospective client, saw that, and he walked out. He says, I'm not going to buy from you if you don't take care of yourself. How are you going to take care of me? So that's how judgmental people are. That was a $20,000 sale that we missed out on. So you need to take care of the way you want to be seen.
How else would you say someone would know if they're in good hands?
You could Google good tailors in your area. Best tailor in LA, best tailor in Beverly Hills, and read the reviews. Yelp, now we have Yelp. There's so many different ways of getting a good tailor, but getting a good tailor is like getting a good dentist. They're going to take care of you in the long term. It's a little bit of an investment, but long term, it's going to do you good.
So are you saying it's a relationship that you have to build, a long-term relationship?
Yeah, it's a relationship. Oh, yeah, it's all relationship driven. So 94% of our clients, since I started 29 years ago, I still have them. Now, they don't have to say a word. I already know what they like. I already know what they want. I already know what styles, what colors, what patterns, how they want to wear. So it's a relationship building business, yeah.
I know that you make everything in the United States.
Yes.
But there are also tailors who take the measures and...
Yeah, they send it out overseas or to Mexico or to Canada. Again, depends on the budget. It all depends on the budget. Obviously, when you're getting things overseas, the suit's going to be a lot less, but it's going to be inferior to what you could get here. So it could have plastic buttons. It's going to be glued together. The suit's going to be tailored itself a little cheaper. You're better off buying a better suit here from, let's say, a retail store than buying a suit that's going to get made overseas.
You mentioned plastic buttons as opposed to what kind of buttons?
Saxon horn, for example, it's a horn button from a bull. So there's horn buttons with ebony. So there's plastic buttons that you could buy for $2, and there's buttons for the same suit that you could buy for $38. So obviously, for our suits, we put the more expensive buttons because even just the button alone, it looks better. And for the people that know, they know.
And what is the difference between custom made and bespoke?
Mm-hmm. So there's 3 types of suits. The suits that you go to, let's say Macy's or Nordstrom's, you buy them. They're called off the rack. So those they have suits there on display. You buy it and you take it home. So that's a ready-made suit. The second one is called made to measure. So made to measure, it's a way of almost customizing a suit, but not really. Made to measure means that the pattern has been cut and they tailor it to your body. They alter it to your body. And a bespoke suit, it means that it's made from scratch for you, just you. That's the difference.
And you go see your tailor several times.
Yes. So, for example, let's say you come to us. The first step is we do a consultation. I ask you a bunch of questions about you, about your career, about where you want to go, about what you want to achieve with a bespoke suit. Number 2, we pick a color. We pick fabrics. Then we measure you. Then we order the fabric, wherever it comes from, whether it comes from Italy or it comes from England. So then the next step, we do a fitting. It's a 3-4 step process of getting a bespoke suit. But the end result, it's going to be 100 times better than anything else you've ever worn. When people come to me, by that time they've already done some homework online, because now we have online. Before we didn't have that. Now we have Google. We have all these search engines that people kind of study it before they come to me, and that's probably 99% of the people that that come to us. They already study about bespoke, and then they look for the best one in their area. And we happen to be the best one here in California. So by that time they get to me, I educate them a little bit more on the fabric, okay, on the cloth. What makes a Super 130's wool better than a Super 100's wool, and why is Super 150's wool better than Super 130's? So all these little things that people don't know about. It's like buying a diamond. You could buy a 1 carat diamond for $5,000, or you could spend $30,000 on the same 1 carat diamond. It just depends on the budget and how far you want to take it. And second of all, then we discuss the details. What do they want in their suit, and what kind of design do they want? Do they want a traditional design? Do you want a slim cut suit? Do they want a modern kind of suit? So these are all these little things that we talk about. Then we talk about their work. What kind of work are they in? The reason being I like to know is because then I can know where to put them, what kind of wardrobe I could put them in. If they need to wear just charcoals and blue suits, or if they're a doctor, or if they're an entertainment attorney, then I could put them in other things that are a little bit bolder. So there's so many steps to finally getting the right suit, but that's why you build a relationship with your tailor.
In a nutshell, what is the difference between different types of wools that you just mentioned?
So the difference is wool is only a few inches. When it comes off the animal, the wool is only a few inches long, right? Mm-hmm. So the more you pull it, if you could picture this, so if you take you take one side of the hair and then the other side, you could pull that hair. I'm talking about microns, right? Real tiny. But the more you pull it, there's less knots, because that's how you make a thread, right? Mm-hmm. So the less knots, the more buttery. The more buttery, the more expensive. The more expensive, the more delicate. So it just continues, right?
So which one is more delicate?
The higher the number, the more delicate it is, and the more expensive it is. Now it starts at about Super 100s, and it goes up to about Super 220s. So now we're talking $14,000, $15,000, $16,000, $18,000 suits.
Is it the thread count?
It's the thread count. It's like a diamond. So the clearer the diamond, the more expensive it is.
Right.
Yeah. We have clients that are billionaires who are spending that kind of money, but myself, I don't even wear those suits because it's a 1 or 2 time wear kind of suit. At that time, when you're buying that kind of suit, money doesn't matter.
Let's talk about uniqueness. How does a man, in this instance, also sometimes women, make themselves stand out of the crowd?
Are you talking budget? Or are you talking money, no issue? You tell me, because when money's no issue, there's so many different ways. You could buy $600-$700 pair of pants. You could buy a $20,000 Rolex. So you could buy a $2,000 belt. Then when money's no issue, which we deal with a lot of those clienteles, it's obviously right away people notice those things.
What about the style? I'm talking about style. If we're not talking about buying more expensive, we're talking about buying as far as fitting together.
The style of the suit, it's the fit of the suit. So that the way that the suit fits. The style is going to be a notch lapel, flat front trouser, or peak lapel. But the style of the suit, it's just a traditional suit. But the fitting, the way that the suit fits on you and it's tailored, that's when you separate yourself from the rest. Because most guys don't take the time going to a tailor to get their suits fitted. They just kind of take it off when they buy it. They get it fitted in the store, and in the store they're not going to fit it as well as any other tailor will.
And you can tell right away if you have the eye. You can tell right away.
Yeah, right away. I could walk into a room with 200 people, and I could tell my eye goes directly to the people who went and spend a little bit of time on themselves. And the people that spend a little bit of time on themselves are usually the more successful people.
Let's shift the gears, Art. You've been very successful in the clothing industry and then a successful tailor. How were you able to do that? What would you say is your number one secret to having clients like late Hugh Hefner, Sylvester Stallone?
I think my knowledge to the industry and being adaptable to the change. Remember, most tailors, once they learn how to tailor a suit, they stick to that for the rest of their life. So I know many tailors today that are still cutting suits from 30 years ago, wide, big, even from 20 years ago. So I adapt with the times. Right now, the look is a more of a modern look, more a slimmer kind of cut. So that's how I cut my suits. And if the client wants it traditional, then I cut it traditional. I don't just go by what I do. I go with what the client wants, or I make suggestions. So I'm very adaptable.
Do you have things that are non-negotiable in your line of work?
The only thing that we have non-negotiable is the prices of our suits, because everything else is customized, right? So because the client, that we attract the 1%ers in our business, and for the service and for the product that we deliver, our prices are non-negotiable.
So as you progressed in your career, what has been the biggest challenge?
At one time, about 10 years ago, I was having a really hard time of keeping up with the demand of having cloth in stock. And that was one of my biggest challenges years ago. But I figured it out, and we kept moving forward, and we kind of passed that. So what happens when you keep stock of cloth? It gets old. It changes colors. You get moth holes. It starts getting. So what I started doing, I started negotiating with the mills that they keep my cloth in the mill until I need it. So that was a really big challenge, and we overcame that.
So it sounds like it was a very easy fix, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about a year. It took about a year to fix it. Yeah.
It was just a business decision, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was a business decision. Yeah.
Was there a challenge that you had to deal internally, the mindset wise?
Well, mindset, I'm always learning. So in mindset, no, I'm a pretty positive guy. I don't look at problems, and I look at moments. If I had a bad moment, it's just a bad moment. I don't look at a bad day or a bad week or a bad month or a bad year. So my mind doesn't go there. So I don't get it when people say I have a bad week. That's impossible. You can't have a bad week. You have a bad moment, but not a bad week. So for me, no, I haven't had a hard time like that at all.
What would you attribute that mindset? When did it start? Where did it come from? Did you learn it from your parents?
No, not from my parents. I learned it on my own. I knew from when I was a kid I wanted to be successful, and I started taking all sorts of psychology courses, and then I went to some of the best seminars on self-improvement. I did that for years and years and years and years. I was coached by some of the best motivators in the world now. I still go to seminars, and now I speak. Sometimes I speak along with them. So getting coached is super, super important. It's like having a tailor, or it's having like having a doctor, or having an attorney, or a CPA. It has to be part of what you want if you want to be the best at what you do. Read and learn. Learn your industry. Become a wealth of knowledge in your brain. Know more and outsmart your competition by knowledge. That knowledge gives you confidence, and nothing can beat that, because that's how I attract clients. I'm very knowledgeable in what I do. I know everything about my business. I know everything about my competitors. I study every day. I've been doing this 29 years, and I still wake up at 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, and I study. So every single day I do, and every single night. I drive my wife crazy. But that's what makes me the best.
Do you have any fears moving forward?
No, because I've been doing it for so long. We have a system, and our system works. So in business, and if you talk to any successful person, they always have a system. I had a fear a long time ago. About 6 years ago, I wanted to open up Beverly Hills location, and I was so scared because the commitment to spend $250,000 in the store and then spend the monthly, and then with the employees, it was going to be such an expensive thing, but it worked, and I'm so happy I got over that, and I just went for it, and it worked. But we kept doing our system, so that's how we're able to open up the other locations as well.
How many locations do you have right now?
We have 6 locations. We're throughout California, and we have a location in Scottsdale, Arizona. Our newest location being Santa Monica.
And at this point, it's basically a word of mouth, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah. We don't really advertise on stuff. It's all word of mouth. before word of mouth, and obviously we have an email campaign that we do, and then we have phone people that follow up with clients as well. I call them client relations.
But really, I would like to find out more about your mindset of the part that you say there is no such a thing as bad week. It's
right.
just moments.
There's a bad moment. You've heard people say, I had such a bad week. I need to go and drink, right? You hear that all the time. Yeah. So it really wasn't that's just what they're saying in their mind. They're ruining themselves because it was just a bad moment. You brush it off and keep moving forward. When you say you have a bad week, that means that you're kind of really being lazy that entire week and you didn't give yourself 100%. I give 100% every single moment. If you don't want it, you're not going to do it. But if you really, really want it, if you talk to the people that really, really want it, they're working their butts off to make it happen. So you just have to make it happen. No excuses, just results.
So how do you deal? You say some people say, I need a drink. What do you do in that case? If you have a negative moment and you pass it, how do you deal with negative emotions and negative thoughts?
Well, I really don't deal with negative emotions. I just overcome that. It's I don't watch news. I don't even know what goes on in the world. That's not my thing. I want to know what's going on with my client, what's going on with my business. That's something that you have to train your mind to. For me, if something's negative, it's just that negative part, and then you just move forward. I'll give you an example. If I have a client that's being hard, I just do better. So for me, looking at a negative, it's something that it pushes me to do better. And believe me, I have problem clients too. So it's a good thing I don't have them all the time, though.
Do you just fire them, or do you deal with them to solve?
No, I have fired 3 clients in my entire career. 3, and they were just looking. I mean, it was unbearable. I couldn't do it anymore. They were just looking at things that were so minor, that it doesn't matter what tailor in the world. I have the most patience with everybody, even though I don't have patience, but I learned how to have patience. I have the most patience with my clients. But after a while, you just have to say, hey, listen, this is not sheet metal. It's not going to be perfect. This is cloth, so it's going to fold when you fold. I mean, some clients ask for some stuff that's so ridiculous that nobody in the world will be able to fix it. So I've only done that 3 times in my entire career in 29 years. So 1 a decade.
Yeah, some of the clients ask for stuff that is not realistic, really.
We kind of handle that at the beginning. So when I'm asking questions to see where they've been, who have they used, and if they say, you know what, Art, I've used 8 tailors. I said, you know what, this is probably not for us. So I kind of cut it from the beginning, because if I say, okay, I could make it better, no, if they've used 8 tailors in their life, that's way too many. It's like if you run to somebody and say, hey, how many attorneys have you used for this, or how many dentists have you used? And they're telling you 8, there's something wrong. That needs to be a red flag. So usually when you find somebody that you really like, you stick with it. I'm an heiress, so I'm very loyal. So I have the same jewelry, I have the same dentist, I have the same attorney my entire life. I have the same car dealership that I bought 14 cars from in the last 20 years. So I'm very loyal like that. So when I see somebody that's jumping all over the place, something's wrong, they're not loyal.
What are some of your core values?
Well, I'm very passionate. I'm very driven. I'm very purpose-driven. So that keeps me on purpose. So those 3 words that I just said, it keeps me going. It keeps me pushing. It keeps me motivated. And it keeps me not worrying about what people think, or if I did something wrong, or if they did something wrong. I don't really care. I just keep moving.
The passion itself keeps you moving, or are there some other things that motivate you, inspire you? Your purpose?
Yeah, the purpose. You have to have a purpose. I haven't had an alarm clock in, I would say, 20 plus years. So I just wake up because I guess my brain tells me to wake up about 5:30 in the morning, and that's just how it's been. I'm so excited, even 29 years later into my business. I'm more excited now than I was probably 10 years ago in my business, just because my purpose is being the best. It's not about money anymore. It's just being the best in my little niche, right? And we are, and I've done that. So when I get some of the biggest stars in the world calling me saying, "Hey, I've heard a lot about you," it's exciting. That keeps me motivated.
How do you have fun?
I do a lot of weekend getaways, and I take 4 huge, big vacations a year. So that's how I have fun.
How long?
I just got back from South America. I went to Peru and Chile, so this time I was gone 2.5, 3 weeks. It was a little too long, but most of the time when I go out of the country and I go to other parts of the world, I'll do 10 to 14 days, 15 days, 2 weeks. I call those my big vacations, so I do that 4 times a year, and then I take a lot of weekend getaways. So, for example, I'll go from here to Cabo. It's only 2 hours away, so I have fun like that. Or I have a home in the desert, so I go to Palm Springs quite a bit.
Have you always done that, even since the beginning of business?
Well, not the beginning of business because I didn't have the money for it, but I have always done, weekend getaways. Or I'll hang out with friends on the weekend, and when I didn't have money, I'll hang out with friends and go locally, When I first got started, I didn't go anywhere. I was so focused on getting this machine going here that all I was doing is working. That's all I did. So I didn't do anything for about a year, 18 months. I didn't do anything. All I did is work, sleep. No fun.
Were you married at that time?
I was. It cost a divorce. Because I was working way too much. But I was so driven that I wanted it so bad, and that was part of what I had to do and give up in order to get what I wanted.
So what did you learn from that experience?
Well, I learned later on just to time management, to manage my time, to work more efficient during business hours and not bring it home. Back then I was working 7 days a week. Now I work 4.5. So it's a huge difference.
But you had to do it at the beginning, right?
I had to do it. Yeah, you had to do it. You have to. Yeah. So I sacrificed a marriage in order to get what I wanted. Sounds selfish, but I wanted it really, really bad. So how to do it?
Were there any kids involved?
Yes.
Do you think it impacted your kids negatively?
At the beginning, yes.
But were you able to somehow make it up?
Yeah, I mean, making it up with material things, but that's not the same as time with your kids, So that I could never make up.
So what would you recommend or advise to people who are in your shoes 29 years ago?
I mean, I think, in my industry, all I do is meet multi-millionaires pretty much every day. So, and I hear the same story every day. So there is a sacrifice. So there is kind of a negative part, if you want to say, to success. It's not pretty. It's pretty later on, but it's not pretty at the beginning or when you're going through it or when you're going up that hill. That's not pretty. There's sacrifices, and it's going to be sacrifices with your family, with your loved ones, with your friends. But it's what successful people want to go through, and every single one will tell you the same thing.
Which is?
All these multimillionaires, billionaires that you see on TV, or they've gone through the same sacrifice. They've had to let go of things or ruin things in order for them to move forward. It is a sacrifice.
Art, give us quick obstacles that the person who wants to dress themselves like a VIP, what are some of the top roadblocks that they face on that path?
3 things. Yes, find out if whatever business you're in, find out if you have idols in your business or people that you look up to in your business that are very successful. Look at what color suits they wear. That's number 1. Okay, so know your colors in your industry. So if you're allowed, or if you can only wear dark colors, then wear dark colors. Number 2, find a great tailor, and then 3, make sure your suit's nice and fitted to you. So no long sleeves, no baggy pants, no long pants, no loose coats. Make sure it's fitted and looks nice on you. Those are 3 things that that I see all the time that I think if you fix those three things, people could get promotions, people could move forward in their careers. In order to move forward, to thrive, I know you use the Thriving Life Club. In order to thrive, you have to prosper in relationships. You have to prosper in business. You have to prosper in life. Those are three parts of your area of life. What's life? Life is life, love, business, right? Relationships. So that's life, and you have to prosper in all those areas and to have balance. When you're having balance, it's really one of the hardest things. But once you find out how to manage it, it becomes really second nature. So you have to kind of know yourself, know your weaknesses, know your strengths, and live life with passion, with purpose, and drive. That's how I attract people. I mean, people could tell people could tell when they meet me face to face how passionate, driven I am. That's how I attract people. And I'm like a magnet when it comes to dressing up successful people because they're the same way. That's been a key ingredient in my success. If you want to be dressed like a VIP, you have to look up to your VP in your companies. Look up to the people that you look up to in your work or in your industry. Look up the successful people who are up there. And look at how they're suited. Look at how they're suiting up or how they're dressing. Look at the way they sit. Look at the way they talk. That is something that I learned, and that's something so important in life that most people don't take advantage of that.
What do you think about this new culture? The Mark Zuckerberg, the Steve Jobs, and those leaders who are dressed casually and they still make the impact. What do you think about that?
Right. Well, they make an impact, a humongous impact in that world. But that world of it's out there. So they're super, super smart. They're very nerdy smart, right? Super nice people, and they're very comfortable in that in that dress code. So if you're wearing jeans and polo, fine, but wear nice ones. I could guarantee you that Mark Zuckerberg's not wearing $20 jeans. He's wearing $400 pair of jeans and maybe a $200 polo, right? That's just, but he looks nice, and that's a comfort zone. Fit your industry. I'm not saying everybody has to wear suits, but fit your industry.
Fit your industry and make sure you feel comfortable in whatever you put on your body, correct? Because that's going to show. People are going to feel it.
That will show. That will show. And then once you can, buy a nice watch, a really nice watch. That helps everything.
What are some of your favorite watches?
I have a lot of them. So I started collecting watches. I bought my first nice watch when I was 24, but I bought it with luck. I bought it with Vegas money, right? I won big, and I went out and I bought a nice watch. My watch that I bought with my own money, with my own hard-earned money, I was 29 years old, and I bought a Rolex Presidential. And from there, I started buying watches every year. So.
And why do you buy them? Are they more an investment, or it's an
investment in you? Because see, people like doing business with successful people. So if you look successful and you are successful, most likely you're going to attract a successful people. That's my secret.
Right. But you're not saying one must have a Rolex in order to succeed,
no,
right?
You must not. No, but you're going to attract. So if you're dressing, on the weekends, I don't dress in suits. So if I'm in sweats or if I'm in shorts and I have a nice watch, I already know that people that I attract we start talking. It's weird. One day you have to hang around me. It's weird because everywhere I go, people start asking me, "Hey, so what do you do?" I don't know what is it that I do that makes them ask me that, but I just get them curious. You just have to dress the part in your environment. Really, that's what it comes down to. Whether it be Dockers and polos or whatever it might be, or suits and things like that. But when you do, make sure it's nice. It's pressed. It's not wrinkled, because it does help. I tell my young attorney clients, I said, listen, you went to Yale, your co-worker went to Yale. When the partner's looking for somebody to come in a big case, you're both going to get interviewed, but whoever's dressed better is going to make a bigger impact, right? If there's nothing to separate you two, but what's going to separate you two is going to be the way you dress. It makes an impact. Subliminal, right?
Right. So what do you know about that, about subliminal persuasion?
When you walk into a room, okay, you've experienced this, right? Everybody has. When somebody walks into a room and you go, wow, that guy's dressed really nice, right? He must be successful. That's what you think, right? Because you see him as a sharply dressed man. So subliminally, right away you say to yourself, wow, he must be successful. That's a secret to success. You want to come across as you know your craft, whatever it might be. You're that expert in your craft. The second that I feel that I'm doing business with somebody and they are a little insecure on what they do, I don't do business with them because I want to do business with the best people in their craft. So much stuff has to do with psychology that it helps you knowing your craft and being knowledgeable in what you do, because you're going to ooze confidence, and when you ooze confidence, you're going to attract that type of client.
Putting on a suit and tie, or even without a tie, the suit shows authority. And if I go to the same place in the suit, and also next day I go in a casual wear, I can definitely feel the difference. Sometimes the person in a hotel, for example, can't even recognize me. And when I'm in a suit, they treat me one way. And if I'm in a casual wear, they treat me another way. I almost get avoided. They don't notice me. But if I'm in a suit, every single person notices me, and then I get discounts.
Of course you get discount. You get attended better. If you go to a restaurant, you get better service. If you go to a car dealership, they come out and are more curious about you. Do a favor for me. Go to a Mercedes store and go in shorts one day, the first day. The second day, go in a suit. You're going to tell me, wow, what a difference. I tell that to all my employees. Go to the Rolls-Royce dealership in shorts and then go in a Rolls-Royce in suit. See the difference.
And it's the image of success that people have in their mind. Someone might be in shorts and flip-flops and make more money than the person in a suit, but the people have that image in their mind, image of success, right? So you want to match that image.
Unfortunately, that's how the world is, right? So we have to kind of play that game. If the majority of the people are playing that game, might as well play it right.
And be ready to be judged by the way that you dress,
you will
basically.
be judged. Not get ready. You will be judged. Well, you're a member of the City Club, right? Since you're a member of the City Club, they don't allow people there in shorts. Why? Because they want the City Club to look like it's a super successful private club, right? That's just how it is. Yeah, that's life.
No jeans, no flip-flops.
No jeans, no T-shirts, right? No tank tops, no shorts.
It's kind of unfair that the fact that people judge the book by its cover, but that's how it is, right?
That's how it is. That's life. So if that's life, learn it and kind of grab it by its horn and just go with that. You know, beat life. You know, that's all I'm teaching. That's all I'm teaching. Just beat life. Become a master at it. You know, if you know that most people judge, then you know if you're gonna go in an atmosphere that you're gonna be judged. I mean, you know that already.
And what does your regular day look like?
But by the time I get up, you know, it depends. If I wake up typically between 5 and 6, somewhere in there. Remember, I don't use an alarm. And when I wake up, the first thing I do is I kind of visualize my day. I kind of look at my calendar and I visualize my day. So I kind of close my eyes and I visualize each and every client that I'm going to see. I even visualize this meeting that we're having right now today. I was trying to wonder what kind of questions you're going to ask me, and I was kind of getting mentally prepared. All day I was visualizing it. So in the morning, that's what I do. That's the first thing I do. 2, I take my vitamins, I drink my water. Then I check my emails that I could answer before I get into work. And then Most of the time, I'll go and work out. I try to work out in the mornings because sometimes when I get home at night, I'm just tired. But if I get it out of the way in the mornings, it's preferable. And then I read. But my work day starts at 10 a.m. So I have a lot of hours beforehand. So I get rid of all the easy stuff in the mornings. So if I have to do an errand, I'll do it in the mornings. I don't do errands throughout my day. And then my day starts at 10. I see 12 to 14 people every day. So most of the time I'm done by 4. When I'm done by 4, I go back home. If we go, my wife and I will go hiking, or we'll if we have an event to go to, usually. So we try to go hiking 3 times a week. We're pretty active, and we'll have a date night once a week. But we have lunch often together.
How did you meet your wife?
About 10 years ago, I invited a few friends, some guy friends and some girlfriends I had, to my home. And one of my friends brought over Jamie, and that's kind of how we started dating back then. Through a friend. I met her through a friend.
Those are some of the best relationships.
Yeah. We were friends for a few years first. And I was dating somebody at the time, and she was involved with somebody at the time. So it was just, she kind of caught my eye, and the second I broke up with this girl that I was dating, the first phone call I made it to Jamie. So I took her out to lunch, and that was it.
From your experience in your relationship, what kind of advice would you give to young guys and also women who are looking to find their, so to speak, soulmate, or the person they want to spend the entire life?
I know what I like. You have to kind of know what you're looking for. And I found it in her, and we have the best relationship. She works in our Beverly Hills location. We work together, we play together, we travel together, we work out together, and it's awesome.
So like the saying goes, the couple that trains together, right? Stays together.
Right, yeah. And it's fun. And it's fun. So we're growing together,
And like you mentioned, it's very important to know what you're looking for. Once you do,
there's
automatically you're going to start attracting the right person.
Yep. There's nothing worse than having a nagging wife, What time are you getting home? Come on, dinner's ready. And if you're building a business, you don't want that extra pressure, because that extra pressure is going to get ugly. You don't want somebody nagging you. You don't want somebody saying, "Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?" If you're working, if you're trying to make a living, or if you're trying to make something of you and your family, you cannot have someone like that at your side.
So they have to be understanding.
I'm saying a wife, but it could be a husband or a wife,
Right. Your partner needs to be understanding, on the same page, supporting, right?
Yep. You need to be at the same level. So, if you're a realtor, there's a lot of realtors out there. They work 7 days a week. Your partner needs to understand that you're going to work 7 days a week. There's going to be times that you're not going to be home on the weekends for a football game or this game or this for the kids. So it has to be really, really set forward at the beginning. Pretty much laid out my life, how my daily routines are with my wife now, and we agreed this is what's going to happen, this is what we're going to do, and I kind of took it like a business plan, right? And that's how we've been married now 4 years, and it's the best 4 years of my life.
Art, you mentioned books. What books are you reading right now?
Well, right now I wrote my own book. It's called The Hustle Code. I co-authored that book, and I'm reading because there's 10 chapters in there by 10 different entrepreneurs. So I'm learning about them too. 10 different entrepreneurs, and if you read it, you'll see very similar stories. Very similar, very, very neat. My favorite book of all times is The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy, because life is about psychology. You have to know psychology. If you're in sales, which most people are, you have to know psychology. You have to know why people answer the way they answer. Why people, there's 4 types of personalities. You have to know those personalities. You have to know how to handle, if there's a type A personality, how to handle that person. If they're quiet, if they're not, you have to learn how to handle that type of person. Most people don't. They don't know. Everybody's someone in sales. So you have to learn your craft. That's why I kept saying, be the best at what you do. It doesn't matter what it is. Be the best. Learn, study. how to get better and how to deal with your customers, your prospects, your relationships.
What part does grind play in the process of designing a thriving life?
What grind means to me is kind of having a disciplined schedule and doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again until it works. That's what grind means to be, and having a thriving life, So that's how I see it.
Does one exist without the other? Can one have a thriving life without the grind?
No, you have to have both. So it's a combination. Success is not easy. It's a combination of many, many different little things in the wheel of life, and so you just have to figure it out for your business what those are.
Thank you, Art, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure of having you at the club.
Thank you, Leon. We'll talk.
And there we have it. Another amazing guest has visited our club. Make sure to subscribe to the Thriving Life Club podcast on your favorite app. Simply go to thrivinglifeclub.com/ and the name of your favorite platform. iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube. You get the point. You will find the show notes, the episode freebie, and the resources mentioned during the episode by navigating your browser to thrivinglifeclub.com/ and the number of this episode. For example, for the episode 3, you would go to thrivinglifeclub.com/ 3. For the episode 7, you would go to thrivinglifeclub.com/ 7. We want to make this podcast the number 1 podcast on iTunes in its category. When you feel inspired, head over to iTunes and give us a quick review to keep the podcast commercial free and get it discovered by more people like you and families like yours. Rate and review the podcast on iTunes and share it with your friends. Let's inspire more people together. And until the next episode, just remember, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can, live a thriving life.